Hello, Whovians! It's Silent Signs from I Dream of Indie, and today we are taking a look at Doctor Who: The Edge of Reality, a first-person puzzle game where you take on the small task of having to save the universe with a little help from the 13th Doctor herself. Doctor Who: The Edge of Reality expands upon the VR title Doctor Who: The Edge of Time. However, no headset required for this title. This time around, you, the unnamed protagonist, and the Doctor are taking on the reality virus, which is causing all sorts of time glitches and distorting past, present, and future. In the process, you'll get to encounter tons of characters you may or may not recognize if you are a fan of the Doctor Who series. You'll also get to collect some other Doctor Who memorabilia and perhaps hear from another Doctor as well. As far as the actual gameplay goes, you are essentially thrown right into this adventure without a whole lot of exposition or explanation. You begin in a laundromat where you find that you can pick up and interact with objects, some of which you can add to your inventory, others you can just pick up and take a closer look at. And that pretty much sets the stage for how this whole game goes. There's not a whole lot that's explained to you. You kind of just have to click around until you figure it out. And it isn't anything too complex mechanics-wise. That is pretty much all you are doing in this game, picking up and inspecting items, most of which get added to your inventory, unless it is an item of Doctor Who memorabilia, which does not get added to the inventory, but rather goes into a collection that you can keep in the TARDIS. Oh yes, the TARDIS is in this too. We'll get to that. But you don't know if an item is one for the memorabilia bank or one that is going to be a key item to your search or just a piece of rubbish until you pick it up. Items that I would consider key items are the ones that you'll need to pick up to progress the story or solve specific puzzles that are going to allow you to move forward. The puzzles themselves are not challenging, or at least I didn't find them to be, and I wouldn't call myself puzzle proficient by any means. The majority of challenge comes from actually locating the items in these environments and figuring out exactly what you're supposed to be doing in the first place. The story is essentially told to you through the narrations of the Doctor, which, to their credit, they did get Jodie Whittaker to perform the voice of the Doctor in this game, so bravo, that is awesome to see. But half of the time I can't fully comprehend what she's saying because I'm trying to navigate around the environment, figure out where to look, and even the clues that she's giving me aren't particularly helpful. But eventually, if I stumble around enough, I can find the object that I'm looking for. That's the one thing that's holding me back from progressing, and eventually put it all together and figure it out. And then back we return to the TARDIS. Yes, as I mentioned before, we do get to drive the TARDIS around, take her for a little spin around the universe, which is pretty stinking cool, I must say. But even firing the TARDIS up requires a rather nonsensical puzzle, which took me far too long to figure out how to do. You do get access to the memorabilia that you've collected within the TARDIS in a cool little memory bank, and that's kind of a neat experience. But if you're midway through traveling to another destination on the TARDIS, it will abruptly cut you off while you're examining your cool artifacts, which is kind of a bummer. I kind of wish they would just let me take my time and look at those items at my leisure. In addition to those physical items, you can also collect pages of a journal, which you can access at any time. There you can read about some of the infamous creatures of the Doctor Who universe, as well as some of your travels in this new adventure. While you don't get to actually play as the Doctor, you're also not entirely defenseless yourself. You do have the help of the sonic screwdriver, as well as some other tools that you collect along the way, like a flashlight, because every good Time Lord needs a flashlight. Also, I do wish you had the flashlight from the get-go in this game, because some of the scenes in the beginning are also very dark, and I don't know why they didn't provide that option to illuminate your surroundings a little bit. Look, it's not all bad. It is very cool to be playing a Doctor Who themed game. I am a fan of the series, and just to see some of those classic creatures come to life in a game is fantastic. You get to use the sonic screwdriver, you get to travel in the TARDIS, you get to talk to the Doctor herself. All great for fans of Doctor Who. I just wish it was a better game. I didn't find the graphical presentation to be particularly offensive necessarily. It definitely wasn't great. environments weren't particularly detailed, and there was some texture popping, especially in more populated areas, like with a lot of trees or things going on in the background. It's also a very dark game, hence why I wish I had a flashlight a lot sooner, and I tried to adjust the brightness, but it turns out I had it on the brightest setting, so I could only make the game darker, which wasn't super helpful. When you do actually get to see a cool Doctor Who character, that's really exciting, but for the most part, these environments don't scream Doctor Who to me at all, and honestly, it just feels like a title that was meant to be on VR. Graphics would have probably been far more immersive in that VR environment, but here, they just kind of feel a little bit dated. And as far as the sound goes, well, half of the time I couldn't even hear it, and then sometimes it was yelling at me and was far too loud. It didn't feel like it was mixed particularly well, and this especially stinks because you're getting the entirety of the plot from the voiceover from Jodie Whittaker, and I couldn't even hear what she was saying. Perhaps it would be better enjoyed with headphones. I'm not positive there. The tracks I could hear were alright. A lot of them were pretty ambient and set to the background. There were some familiar Doctor Who themes going on, as well as some familiar sound effects that you'll recognize from the television show. But even that couldn't save what is essentially just a mediocre game. And that's really where I'll leave it. If you're a huge die-hard Doctor Who fan and you'll collect anything that has the Doctor Who title on it, by all means, give this one a go and let me know what you think. But if you're just looking for a good puzzle game, this is definitely not it. And I just feel like they could have done so much more with the Doctor Who name.
Artificial gravity systems are now failing. Onboard gravity imminent.
I remember this place. Me and Joey used to play cards here.
So will you be trying your hand at this sonic screwdriver? Let me know in the comments down below. Before I go, I just want to thank our indie warriors Mitchell Hall, Bunny, Kevalo, Bill T, Christian Cruz, Chris Jackson, Nathan Moore, Peach, Adriana Amato, CJR, PSC, C Coil, Skepticism, Jen Rose, Jesse, CPM, Julian Colbus, JRS8, Raylyn, and Marky Mint. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already, don't forget you can subscribe down below so you don't miss any reviews or previews, and check out the description box if you'd like to see how to become an indie warrior yourself. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.